Welcome everybody to the first reading for the Locus Awards. Happy Juneteenth in our federal holiday. Very excited about that. We have today Charlie Jane Anders and Uchechukwu Nwaka, two of our short fiction finalists. We're very excited to have them here reading for us. And we will have a Q&A after both of them read. There's a chat button if you want to chat amongst yourselves, say hi to the readers, say hi to each other. You're welcome to do that. There's also a Q&A button. If you have questions for the readers, you can toss questions in there, and then at the very end, we will go through and answer questions. And I think that's it. If you like closed captioning, there's closed captioning. And yeah, and that's it. We're gonna do 10 to 15 minutes readings each, and then about 10 minutes of Q&A at the very end. So I'm going to go ahead and get started by introducing our friend Charlie Jane. Charlie Jane Anders. Oh, actually, I will go ahead and spotlight you so you'll be like under the gun here. Here we go. Okay. Charlie Jane Anders. Oh, I spotlighted me. Hello. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to spotlight you instead. I think that makes more sense. There we go. And okay, Charlie Jane Anders just finished a new adult novel, tentatively called The Prodigal Mother. She's also the author of the young adult's Unstoppable trilogy, which has won 2 Locus Awards and is nominated for a 3rd. She co-created Escapade, a transgender superhero for Marvel Comics, and wrote her into the long-running New Mutants comic. And she's currently the science fiction and fantasy book reviewer for the Washington Post. Her TED Talk, Go Ahead, Dream About the Future, got 700,000 views in its first week. With Annalie Newell, she co-hosts the podcast, Our Opinions Are Correct. Please welcome Charlie Jane Anders.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. This is such a thrill. I love Locus. It's such an honor to be reading with y'all. I've got my Locus mug right here, and you can get one of these for yourself if you go to the Locus website. Oops. The Zoom background is trying to eat my mug, but there it is. It's a beautiful mug. Okay, just gonna jump right in. There's nothing quieter than the sound of dreams not coming true. The moment when reality sinks in and Gwen realizes she's never going to have the thing she's been yearning for since high school, the thing that she made so much space in her life to accommodate, has almost no soundtrack. Distant car tire rumbles, the stutter of the clinic's automatic sliding door behind her, and her own shallow breaths are the only things she hears. Gwen doesn't cry. She just leans against the side of her old second-hand Toyota and stares at a grassy lot full of trash on the other side of a chicken wire fence. How do you even mourn the loss of something you never even had? She knew something was wrong the moment she saw the mask of sympathy on Dr. Franklin's face. No, wait. She knew much earlier than that. She's felt it for days, in her bones, in the lead up to this appointment at the Clinton County Fertility Center. The treatments haven't been working. Some part of her knew before Dr. Franklin said, "I'm afraid I have bad news, and we did our level best. She's not going to get pregnant. Maybe she'll adopt eventually." She hasn't even looked into adoption yet, but she got the impression that there are waiting lists and gatekeepers and balls to balance on your nose like a performing seal, and that a single woman in dental hygienist school will be at the bottom of the list. She can't even bear to start thinking seriously about it yet because this IVF business took too much out of her. "I'm going to eat a donut," Gwen says out loud. "No, screw that. I'm going to eat a dozen donuts, and I'm going to listen to show tunes so loud my ears ring and stay up all night watching Kitchen Nightmares. I'm not responsible for a soul in the world besides myself. Time has started acting like it." For a second, she glances upward at the big, vacant lot, and one of the trash islands seems to move. A tarp over a mini fridge shifts slightly. Probably just the wind, but could be a raccoon. She gets in her Toyota and holds the key near the ignition. Not crying, just staring. Someone is hiding under the tarp and inside the mini fridge, a creature with a sheet of moss or kind of a greasy film all over his face. Junior explorer Minowl is getting a cramp in his left arm and his right leg, and the air is cold, and he has a stiff neck from sleeping on a tile floor earlier, but he watches Gwen sitting hunched over inside her car, and he feels something inside him reach out towards her. Gwen's grief is very different than Minowl's, but they're both grieving. He thinks about the way she talked to herself in the parking lot. I'm going to eat a dozen donuts. Her voice had a sweetness to it, a playfulness. Minowl feels certain in his lung spleen. Gwen Maines would be a good parent for a most unusual child. He watches her drive away, heading down the bypass road toward the donut place. No need to follow. He can track her to her home easily enough. Instead, Minowl heads back to the abandoned, semi-underground structure where junior technician Farathis is watching over the baby. The sign on the front says, Video Junction, but there's nothing inside but cement pillars. Whenever Minowl sees the baby, he has to stop and look into her big, reddish-blue eyes, just searching for some trace of the woman that he would have died for, the woman who instead died for him, along with everyone else on the Inquisitive. The baby is swallowed in a piece of bed mesh inside an oval-shaped protective capsule on top of a pile of crates. Great hopes and tiny disappointments, Farathis said during Minowl out of his reverie. Minowl gives the proper response without thinking. Boisterous companions and quiet ghosts. So, Farathis says, I can't wait to hear your report. Farathis is a Scanthian with reddish-green skin and thick spikes coming off all over, and she's also a junior officer, which means neither Minowl nor Farathis outranks the other, but alternate Captain Roathix put Farathis in charge. Gwen Maines is the one. I'm certain of it. Minowl looks at the baby instead of his fellow officer as if he needs to convince the child that Gwen should be her mother. You should have seen her. She has a spirit that is both gentle and generous. And her vehicle, it was coated with rust. Rust is not considered a blessing on this planet, Farathis reminds him. Minowl's people, the Yarthan, believe that rust is a gift from the gods. That chemical reaction where iron oxidizes and releases free electrons is a holy favor, even holier than the making of chlorine and lye. Fine, Minowl says. I'm just telling you. Gwen Maines will care for this child as her own. She'll do well. One single human on her own. Farathis frowned so hard her cheek spikes almost crossed. What about the family, the Redfields? I saw them arguing after they left the clinic, Minowl sighs. They lacked gentleness with each other. He doesn't bother to mention that the Redfields' car was rust-free because he knows Farathis won't understand. Farathis pokes her quant and a glowing puff of information appears in her right hand. The Inquisitive can't hide in orbit forever, and we can't risk anyone finding out where we hid the child. We must not wait any longer, but also we cannot make a mistake. We should choose the Redfields because two parents will provide a more optimal environment. One parent can be better than two if she's the right parent, Minowl insists. Families come in many shapes. I had a single parent, just like many of my friends back home, and I turned out fine. And just look at Botno the Worthy. He had 7 parents, and he's never learned how to behave. Minowl and Farathis both snort, thinking of the disgusting way that Botno the Worthy always chews float beast liver with his mouth open. Farathis hesitates. I still think you have to trust my judgment, Minowl says firmly. We've suffered a great ordeal and a terrible loss, and nobody wants this baby to be safe more than I do. And my instincts tell me that Gwen Maines will be a strong protector. Loud sigh, shivering spikes. Very well, Farathis said. Bring the child. Let us visit this Gwen Mains. I dearly hope we can be on our way back to the ship soon. Mine Owl can't help doing the Yarthan victory dance, but he does it very softly so as not to upset the child. Gods, the child has her eyes after all. She's giving Mine Owl the same stare that used to unnerve him when it came from his beloved captain. She will command a starship again one day. She must, or all of this was for nothing. He takes the ovoid capsule and hoists it on one shoulder, and they set off towards Gwen Mains's house, hoping against hope that no humans notice two aliens and a baby sneaking across town. Gwen Mains pours some Chablis into a mug that says, "Don't even ask," with a grumpy cartoon badger on it, and wraps her bathrobe around the responsible prospective mom shirt and slacks she wore to the fertility clinic for her final last-ditch appointment. Her old flip phone rings again. Rosie wanting to know how it went. Gwen doesn't have the heart to speak her defeat out loud right now. Her third-floor apartment is tiny, just a kitchenette and a bedroomette and a bathroomette, surrounding a living room big enough for a couple of beanbags and a bookshelf with a small TV. But right now, the apartment feels huge and noisy. The refrigerator whines like a mosquito, the radiator rattles, the toilet gurgles, and the scuffed white walls feel like they're a million miles away. It turns out a dozen donuts is a lot. Gwen has barely made a dent in the third one. She skipped the sugar high and went straight to the crash. Okay, so she's never going to be a mom unless she adopts or marries a single dad. She'll have more time for hobbies. She could take up croquet. She likes grass and hitting things. Ugh. She just wraps herself tighter in her fuzzy pink bathrobe. Someone is ringing her doorbell. She almost ignores it, but her Midwestern politeness takes over and she trudges down the stairs to the front entrance. On the other side of the wrought iron front gate, there are two large people wearing identical red pajamas and fancy boots, holding a sky blue egg. The bigger of the two is covered with quills like a hedgehog and smiles with blocky teeth. The smaller one has a slimy film all over their noseless face. "Gwen Mains, may you walk in gentle sunlight and sleep under bright stars," says the slime-faced creature. "We have come a very long way to find you because we see greatness and gentleness in you, and we want to offer you something more precious than we can explain." Gwen just stares. Then she looks down at her best pair of slacks poking out from below her bathrobe. It's kind of late. Can you come back tomorrow?" "We cannot," said the tall one with the hedgehog quills. "We are running out of time." They look around nervously. "We are too exposed out here. Can we come inside, please? We promise we mean no harm." They both have weird eyes. The mossy-faced one has dark, limpid gumdrops, which are wide with some kind of yearning. And the spiky one has the greenest irises Gwen has ever seen. She can't look into either pair of eyes and know if she should trust these people. "Anything you want to say to me, you can say out here." Moss-Face sighs. "Very well. I am Junior Explorer Mine Owl, and my pronoun is he. We are visitors from deep space, and we have just suffered a grievous loss. Our beloved comrade died, but we were able to clone her in time. The clone is still a newborn, and she looks like an alien, but we have the means to alter her DNA so she will appear to be a human, but actually a genetic match for you. You can raise this child as your own. All we ask is that you keep her safe and hidden from other aliens who might wish her harm." "Oh." Gwen almost faints. She gets the woozy, spinny head thing, but then she just leans against the door frame. "Could you say that whole thing 3 more times?" Mine Owl looks around anxiously. A car drives past and someone is walking their dog. Then he sighs and says the whole thing 3 more times. Okay, thanks.
Woo! Les is muted.
That was me clapping because you couldn't hear all the applause, but you couldn't hear me. Oh, okay, put my jacket back on. Okay, Uchechukwu, you have to come back so we can hear you read too. Look, now I look more official. That's how that works. Hi. Excellent. Okay, don't go too far away, Charlie Jane. We're going to come back to you for questions later. Okay, so getting to your bio on my screen here, which is now full of things somehow. I won't put you on the spot yet. Okay. Uchechukwu Nwaka is an Igbo medical student at University of Ibadan in Nigeria. His works have appeared in Podcastle, Escape Pod, Fusion Fragment, Faya, Omanana, and Brittle Paper, among others, and have been nominated for the Utopia and BISFA and Locus Awards now. You gotta update that. When he's not writing, he can be found reading manga, streaming TV shows, playing amateur volleyball, or trying to catch up with his endless schoolwork. Please join me in welcoming Uchechukwu Nwaka to read.
Hi, I just want to say I'm really happy to be here. This is my first panel for anything, so yeah, I'm kind of excited. Yeah, I got something. I'll just get to it. All right. The time is 22:17:49. I've never been much into foreplay, but I need the money, and Moyo would flip a lead if she ever heard that I balked now. The client isn't all that bad either. He has this kind of boyish look over his beardless face, and he'd been wearing his suit when he approached me by the bar. I figured I could let myself get handcuffed to the bedpost while he attempted to play out his fantasies. For both our sakes, 20 minutes later, I tried to get into it. The client's fingers trail across the length of my thigh, bare, save for the new silk pair Moyo had given me earlier this evening. There's a ring on one of his fingers that tempts shivers down my back over every surface it skims. Hoarse gasps escape my throat, but the client's hands stifle my lips gently. His hands are large. The client smiles. There's something behind that boyish charm. It flashes in his eyes and lingers for just a second, but I cast it aside as lost when he brandishes two black scarves. One's for your mouth and the other's for your eyes. When the darkness falls, I feel his weight leave the bed. Embers of anxious excitement begin to warm the pits of my groin, so I don't immediately notice that the client's on the phone. I have the elbow ready. A sudden wave of icy apprehension ripples down my guts. Ebo? As in sacrifice? Yes, Baba, he monotones. Right away. Fuck! I struggle against the curbs, but the cold still only bites painfully into my flesh. I force a scream, but it's only a futile The client chuckles and my mind shrieks in terror. My limbs trash out the king-size mattress in desperation until something heavy on the side of my head flings my world into fractured pain. Once, again, silence. The time is 21:47:24. Air burns its way into my lungs and my furious gasps almost topples the glass of whiskey from my hand. It's the bar again. The lighting is shoddy. The whiskey is some percentages too raw and the client is talking. Now that I look closer, there's a hardness behind his eyes, a dangerous glint behind every casual smile. How did I ever miss it? But I already know where this all leads to. I reach into my purse to get my phone. Sorry, Moyo. He tilts his head. Something wrong? I stand. I'm sorry, something urgent suddenly came up. That's quite disappointing. I was hoping you'd accompany me upstairs. No, thank you, I think. But his suggestion simply supersedes my conscious thoughts. Instead of heading to the door, I only wobble on my feet. And I suddenly realize that this is not mere intoxication. My body has lost all will to function. To him. I see that look again, just briefly when he glances from my drink to his face. He met me here. There was no way he'd have roofied my drink without me noticing. Then my eyes fall on the ring on his finger, and I see its arcane inscriptions. And the realization is as chilling as his phone call was. The client is a bloody ritualist. The time is 21:33:08. I find myself in front of the hotel again. Shit. That means I died after following the client upstairs the second time. At least an earlier awareness of my situation is paying off, but what can I do differently this time? The hotel occupies an entire lot with 3 stories the management did not deem fit to illuminate. A flickering red ball shows bar printed on the board outside the beaded curtains that lead into the establishment. The music is scratchy as it pervades the night, yet this dub is cream of the top. It's still 10,000 naira per night. That's money I'm choking on debt for. But this time, there's no question. That lunatic client has murdered me twice already. I make a full 180 when my phone buzzes from my purse. Oh fuck, it's from the clinic. Sandra Kosoko, this is a final reminder regarding patient Kosoko's outstanding bill of 30,000 naira over his nanite therapy chamber. Failure to remit will lead to forfeiture of the service by Monday, 3rd of July. Another beep and it's the banking AI, reminding me of the chicken feed excuse of cash left across all my virtual wallets. Double fuck. I take a deep breath and consider my options. The AI's reminder was the tipping points that led me into the bar every time. I need this cash. God knows how long Papa will have left without the nanotech treatments. And if I died here, then he'd find out about this hustle and lose the chamber. That's even worse. I'm leaving. I bump into someone as I turn into the parking lot. Bloody Christ, as though this bastard is omnipresent. I clutch my purse tighter as I try to sidestep him, but his hands aren't the only things big about him. Sandra, yeah? The bar's light paints the smile on his dark face. I'm your appointment. I don't know what you're talking about, I say quickly, still trying to brush past him. His hands wrap around my arm, heavy. His full weight looms over me, an entire foot taller. I didn't pay Moyo all that cash just for this. His face leans closer, blotting the moonless sky behind. All pretext of his smile had vanished. Follow me inside. Electricity ripples across my body, but nothing happens. For an instant, I see the bewilderment register on his face, and I assume mine too, before he grinds his teeth in rage. How do you do that? I jerk my arm from his grip and run for it. My fingers fiddle nervously my pulse as I try to get my phone, but I have no one to call. Even the cops have no emergency lines in this corner of Lagos. They just wave my cops past without even sparing a glance. I swear I could probably imagine the looks on their faces when they saw my bashed in skull. Just another dead Olusho. These ritual murders don't seem to be coming to any end soon. You think her parents knew she was playing hookup before she got done in? Then the client waits, full weight crashes into me, emptying my lungs as I smash into the asphalt. His breath is hot and reeks faintly of weed. My heart is pounding in my head, and the pressure is threatening to blow my eyes out of their sockets. What are you? Why is my juju not working? Because mine's stronger and 10 times the charm? Or did that stupid bitch Moyo tip you off, eh? After all the cash she took from me, terror gives way to rage. That bitch sets me up with a ritualist. He brandishes a padlock from his suit. A frigging padlock. What kind of lunatic goes around wielding such monstrosities anyway? Was this what he'd knocked me out with in our first go around? A stray torchlight beam falls on us, one of the night patrol. I struggle to breathe, to call out. Lawson! The client orders in piercing Yoruba. The patrolman drops like a rag doll, but it's all the distraction I need to wedge my tongue between my teeth, right over the big veins, and muster the courage to jump even further backwards. It's a few years off my future, but it's either this or nothing at all. I squeeze out a grin too while I'm at it. I'm nobody's sacrifice. I swing my head onto the asphalt. The time is 19:17:49. Don't know if you got a job for me. Anything, Moyo. I know it's sudden. Each time, reality condenses into my frontal cortex with a sudden burst that nearly fires out all my nerve endings. I choke on the last few words as Moyo sizes me up from beneath her umbrella lashes. I haven't seen you around in a while. Thought your father disapproved of girls like us. He needs nice therapy. I wish shit is expensive, and I'm barely keeping our place together with all these Agbero syndicates shaking us down for cash weekly. Moyo's flat is in one of the less shitty areas, even though these days much of everything has fallen into ruin. Anyone can tell her job pays well too. After all, these penthouse sharks don't come free. Squeeze you in only if you're up for it. Sandra? Huh? Yeah. There's no railing between her corridor and the 20-foot drop behind, and the height is messing with my head. Moyo's nails are painted an electric pink that disorients me even further. You good? Cause I might have a spot or two left. Depends. She swipes through her phone as I blink the pinkness of her nails away from my eyes. So big cash or small cash? Big, oh shit, I already know how that ends. Let's say small. She stops swiping contacts, picks one, and that's when I catch a glimpse of a painfully familiar face. Same client, same ending, half the money. Unbelievable. Moyo, you piece of Sandra. I don't have all evening, babe. You know I have to get you all dolled up, especially with Jesus. Have you always been this great? Her fingers are tapping impatiently on her screen. My heartbeat starts drumming against my ears as a plan forms. The very audacity chills me to my bones. The generator sputters to life a few floors below, as if in agreement. Yeah, we good. I outstretch my clammy hand, and I wonder whether Moyo's reluctance means she's seen through me. She half rolls her eyes, passes her phone to her other hand, and takes mine in hers. Now, I just need a picture for your client. Too late. I've pulled. And with my leg wedged just right, she stumbles. One step, two, a desperate flail of her arms. I reach out and grab her phone as she falls over, scream swallowed by the wailing generator. For a second, I wonder whether her guts to paint the sidewalk pink too, but it's just a second. Long enough for Muyo's banking AI notification to slide over her Photoshop enhanced wallpaper. Credits 35,000 V Naira, balance 74,332.48 V Naira. So the client did pay her. And if I keep Moyo's screen unlocked long enough to make one big transfer, Papa's payments are a problem solved, and we change to spare. My eyes travel upwards to the blackening sky and the husk of apartment left on this side of town. A lock of gray hair falls from my head as a drought blows by, and I think of the client and his padlock, and whichever unlucky girl who crossed his path tonight instead of me. Just another dead Olusho. Moyo's phone suddenly feels too heavy in my hand. And thank you.
Nice. That was
Wow.
awesome. Woo! And look, I'm not muted this time. I pulled it off. That was great. That was, what was that published in?
Myth Access.
Myth Access. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So if anybody in the audience has any questions they want to toss into Q&A, we will put the readings up on the site so that anybody who wasn't here that's a Locus Awards attendee can watch it later, and we'll let them know that it's here too. Will you tell us a little bit about, first of all, Charlie Jane, will you tell me about your background? I think this is what I ask you every time because you always have some kind of like amazing thing going on behind you.
Oh yeah, no, my Zoom background right now, that is the original cover art for Victory is Greater Than Death, my YA debut, which if you got one of the arcs, that was the cover art, but then they changed it to the purple-haired girl that's on the actual cover. I still love that artwork, and I like it. They used it as end papers in the hardcover of Victory is Greater Than Death. So if you bought a first edition of Victory is Greater Than Death, you got this artwork. But I just really love it. It's my favorite Zoom background just because it's got so much
Right?
it's really cute
Got a
and
lot
got
of
so much style.
movement.
Yeah, I love it. I think that they felt it was too manga or something.
What
And
does
just
that even
like, you know,
mean?
Like it looks like a graphic novel rather than like a YA, I guess. I don't know. I love it. I would have been happy to keep it, but I'm also love the art we ended up with, so it's all good.
Yeah. And will you talk about what you read today? I think I was like worried about technical stuff when you were introducing what you're reading. So
Me?
yeah.
Yeah, it's a little prequel to Victory is Greater Than Death, and I'm so like thrilled and honored that it got nominated for a Locus Award as well. It's a prequel to Victory is Greater Than Death that kind of explains how Tina got left on Earth disguised as a baby. Let me see if I can find it. It's on Uncanny Magazine.
I just want to say I want that mug.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I
Oh
love the Locust mug. The
no
Locust
no!
mug
I
is
want the
the
badger.
badger mug, the badger mug where it's like,
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, whatever.
yeah. Oh, I was only sending stuff to Host and Palace. How do I send stuff to everybody?
You have to click everyone.
It's not letting me. Okay, well, whatever. I'm going to post it in the chat and then you can share it with everyone else.
Oh, great. Yeah.
I don't know why I can't post to everyone. It's just not letting me. It's my only choices are host and panelists or
Oh, that's
That's
interesting.
weird.
We'll look into that for next time. Figure out what's going on there.
Can you post
Yeah.
to everybody, Fran?
I can, yes.
Okay, anyway, yeah, so it's basically a prequel to Victory is Greater
I
Than Death,
will
and
copy and paste it.
it's kind of the origin story of Tina, the main character of the trilogy.
Nice. And then, Uchechukwu, will you talk a little bit about your story? That's like a very cool, dark, backward moving story. Will you talk a little bit about it? Like,
Yeah, well, I honestly can't remember why I wrote this story. I was actually trying something out. I just wanted to play with the structure of like a non-linear storytelling of sorts. I just wanted to see if I could start a story at the end and somehow change that end by going back in time. Yeah, and it just seemed like I could kind of like talk about society in a way because, things are kind of difficult and, everyone's just trying to survive and do something to just, make ends meet. And I was also trying to explore that. And while this girl might be doing something that her dad might not really approve, she's also doing it for her dad. And yeah, so yeah, that was really what I was thinking about while I wrote the story.
it's a very cool structure. And it sort of plays
Thank
also
you.
with that, like, you can't fix things by going back in time. Like it always it still is messed up. But no, I really enjoyed that. So Melanie, who's one of the in the audience, was wondering for both of you what's coming up next. So Uchechukwu, would you start with that? What do you have coming up next?
Oh well, I'm kind of like in the middle of exams. I think I mentioned that earlier, and so I haven't really been doing anything really. It's just been a lot. It's been overwhelming, and well, my last paper is on Friday, and I get a break. So I have to get back writing really. I'm still trying to write more short stories, really just kind of get comfortable in this space.
Yeah. Do you have anything that came out recently that maybe we don't know about?
Yeah, actually, I have a story out in Fusion Fragments in the latest issue. Yeah.
Nice. And what's that called?
So, an offering of algae.
Algae. And is that, will you tell me?
Good title.
I know. Will you tell me a little bit about what it's about?
Oh yeah, so it's basically about these guys who live in a bunker and they eat they eat meat which they believe it's like a provision from God, right? They believe God has a farm and they live underground. The surface is toxic for some reason, and they believe God provides them this meat, nutrition from his farms and whatever. And this main character finds out that there is no farm, or there's no benevolent God really. They just actually found a creature and chained it, and they've been harvesting it for sustenance. And it's like the whole exploration of the culture of the people and what it means to him personally to be part of this kind of, like, why is he okay? I mean, if we are surviving at the detriment of this creature, like, what does that mean for us? Do we just go ahead? Do we keep living, or do we, it's just kind of a whole moral.
Right. That's very cool. Excellent. So that's Infusion Fragment. Which issue?
21.
21. Nice. And then what about you, Charlie Jane? What do you have? What are you working on? What's up next?
Yeah, so I have this novel coming out summer of next summer, summer 2025, which no longer called The Prodigal Mother. We're reworking the title as we speak. I'm still giving out stickers that say The Prodigal Mother. So if you catch me at like Worldcon or ReaderCon, you'll probably get a sticker with the incorrect title on it.
The
So
limited edition.
Yeah, you'll get the like limited edition like collector's item sticker that like no longer has the accurate title on it. Yeah, it's but new title is gonna be something like Lessons in Magic or Lessons in Magic and Forgetting. We're kind of workshopping it right now. It's about a young woman who decides to teach her mom how to do magic because her mom has been hiding out in an old abandoned schoolhouse in the middle of the woods for like the last 7 years, ever since a bunch of stuff went wrong. And our protagonist, the young woman, decides that she needs to bring her mom back to the world and help her mom get out of the rut she's in. And the best way to do that is by teaching her mom how to become a witch, which I've never read a story about a young person teaching an older person to do magic. And I thought that was really interesting. And also the main character, Jamie, is a grad student researching 18th century literature. And there's an 18th century novel, which I basically invented out of whole cloth, which is kind of gay and kind of weird and also turns out to have some clues about magic that end up being important in the story. So there's kind of a whole thread of like 18th century stuff, 18th century literature, and like 18th century women authors who are no longer really, we don't know about nowadays, but were really famous at the time, and just sort of secret histories and like queer generational trauma and stuff. So it's got a lot going on.
That's cool. Wait, and when is that? Did you say when that's coming out?
Last I heard was like August 2025. I'm hoping we'll have a pub date soon. I'm hoping we'll finalize the title soon, and I'm hoping we'll have a
Squish right
cover.
between summer reading and fall.
Yeah, I mean, August is a good time, actually. There's a lot of really great books coming out this August. I think it's like actually a really good time to put out a novel. July is brutal. I wouldn't want to put out a book in July right now, but August I think is a good month.
Interesting.
There's definitely like there's a sweet spot in there. There's a sweet spot.
I mean,
and that's
I'm working on my July book review column right now, and it's just like there's like 100 books that I wish I could review. Like literally, it's just everything is coming out in July, and all these like fucking China Mieville and Keanu Reeves have a book coming out in July, and like all these other people. It's
happening?
Wild.
Yeah.
I know. I haven't seen it yet.
I know, it's
I
crazy.
just saw the announcement about it. I say I saw it. I don't mean I saw the thing. I just was like, I saw a news announcement and I was like, what is okay.
Excellent.
There's just so much stuff in July. It's like everybody wants to put a book out in July this year.
That's because you're supposed to have the free time or be getting ready to have free time. And
it's like the summer beach read.
Summer beach reads, not that I get to the beach or get to read personally. But I get it. I totally get it. If I did, I would read on the beach.
Yes.
A lot of books. I would do that. So, for sure. Well, did you have any questions, Fran?
Oh no, I really enjoyed the reading.
I know, I really did too. I think we've actually filled the time really nicely. You guys, thank you so much. That was so nice, and it was awesome to have you read. I'm so excited to have such awesome finalists for the Locus Awards. Please, like, watch some other people read. You have all the links. We're gonna stream the awards on YouTube, so watch the awards. And I'm sorry that both of you can't be here, but it's nice to have you in the mix. Right?